Hi guys, and welcome to a new video on Sonal's life. Now we are currently in the midst of World Tag League and you can check out my preview that I did for that, my last video. However, I'm back with, and I told you I'd do these kind of quick newsy or like little short videos for you guys to quench your thirst in between the big tours or my big videos. Now we are coming up to Wrestle Kingdom, and normally around January is when the reports of contracts being up in New Japan. There have been reports that it has changed up and actually a lot of people are working through January and that their contracts end slightly after. So Samuel, if you're not even focusing on that, what's the point of the video? There's this discourse every year about New Japan not signing guys to long enough contracts, especially the Gaikokujins who tend to be, the foreign talent tend to be on 1-year contracts, which is very dangerous, especially in the landscape. We've seen in the past 5 years a whole multitude of New Japan wrestlers leaving for AEW or WWE, with many blatantly saying that it is due to New Japan's lack of willingness to invest in long-term contracts, especially for the likes of, say, Aussie Open, who basically said like they got offered proper contracts with proper money that gave them stability, which is why they went there. But who are the kind of Gaikokujins, or actually, no, I won't just say it, who are the talent from New Japan who might spark some worries? Now, actually, at first I said Gaikokujins, and then I went, oh, because in the past it was seemingly the case that, like, oh, you just have to worry about the foreign talent leaving. However, 2025 has proved that that is anything but the truth. Because in January, well, last January, 2024, 2025, the years are all blending together personally. 2024, we saw Kazuchika Okada shockingly announce that he was leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling. Someone who we thought was just like Hiroshi Tanahashi, who would be staying there until he retires. This year, we saw Tetsuya Naito and Bushi, two other guys who we thought would be staples on the New Japan roster until they retired, leave the company. So that means that almost, I guess, nobody is safe. I don't know the ins and outs of every talent's contract and whether it changes. We all know that the foreign talent tends to be on a yearly basis. But it's interesting, like, what Japanese talent could we see leaving? But obviously, as I said, I am here to speak about foreign talent as well. Over like the 6-7 years I've been a fan of New Japan, it's been 8 this year actually, I've seen so many of my favourites leave. It started with JY and then it all continued. And so I thought, well, who are the ones who I'm very worried for in the upcoming? This I'm going to specify is the ones that I'm worried about. There are guys, for example, Zack Sabre Jr., Francesco Akira, who I'm not concerned about. They seem very much not just committed to New Japan, but to Japan itself. And I think that's a big thing you've got to remember, is that for a lot of these foreign talents, the reason that they leave New Japan, alongside money and maybe wanting other opportunities, is the travel. It's not just the travel to Japan, which is horrendous for anyone. So from the UK, it is 13 hours if you go from London. And then for America, I assume it's more. It is the travel in between shows. It is travelling up and down Japan in a van when you're battered and bruised, which also makes an issue. Now, the one major faction that I have concerned about, I think everyone has concerns about every year, but specifically now, as they are at the helm of the Gaikokujin elite table, I say in New Japan, it's the War Dogs. Now, War Dogs, obviously, amazing faction, one of my favourites, and we have quite a lot of Gaikokujins in there. So we have David Finlay as the head, Gabe Kidd, Driller Maloney, Clark Connors. I also didn't mention Oscar, but Oscar, I feel is another guy who's just come back from excursion. I can't see him going anytime soon. Those 4 are 4 guys that New Japan need to keep. In every capacity, they are amazing. Finlay is leading the War Dogs. He won the New Japan Cup. He has come on leaps and bounds since the babyface Hontai guy that I liked, the C-Block champion. Gabe Kidd has had his ups and downs, but amid all of this nonsense, and I've spoken about in the past of him in AEW, I truly believe that Gabe's heart is with New Japan all the time. Driller has made the classic move from junior to heavyweight, and actually not only because at the moment he's teaming up with Shingo Takagi in World Tag League, not only is he very popular, but he's very talented. He has this ability to be very strong and very muscular, but also very fast. Similarly, Clark Connors is another staple. He is former IWGP Junior Tag Champion, very strong with whoever he's partnering with. He's obviously the Driller. Then he was partnering with Nagai in Junior Tag League, and although they didn't get any wins, did leaps and bounds for Nagai as a wrestler. And also Wheelstand is hilarious. But then especially with like Driller and Clark, their personalities are shining. They are doing commentary. They've done commentary on quite a few of the tours alongside Chris or Walker. And I always joke that when they get on commentary, Driller recently did it on a World Tag League show, is that they forget they're a member of the War Dogs, unless it comes to Sonata hate from Driller. But they become fans. They are fangirling over the wrestlers as we do at home. And that is specifically very precious to me. So why am I worried about them? They are doing well. They are at the top of their game, seemingly. It's results at the end of the day. Gabe had a very short stint with the Global Championship, as did Finlay. Finlay won the New Japan Cup. Driller and Clark have both been junior champions. But with balancing what they could possibly do elsewhere, is it enough? Are they going to re-sign for whatever New Japan gives them if they're not going to be getting those really big, moments? Because, I could say I think Finlay is ready to be IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Clark is more than ready to be Junior Champion. I want to see more gold on them. And I'd love to say that they were New Japan for life, War Dogs for life. But they concern me because I feel like they are some of the top entities now in wrestling, especially the likes of Gabe Kidd, the younger guys. And I feel like there are people watching them everywhere. Callum Newman. Now, Callum Newman, I wasn't sure whether to put on this list because obviously I think they're building up a huge story with the Empire. But he's another guy I think I worry mainly just because of Ospreay. I genuinely like Akira and Zach. Think that Callum really loves New Japan. And Callum has come on leaps and bounds since he debuted as the Empire's young guy. He went from junior to heavyweight, and actually now I've seen this change in personality from him. Similarly to guys like Hanare when they moved from Hontai to the Empire. I'm now seeing this sadistic side. You've seen it specifically in the last matches that they've had, especially during World Tag League. And I like that, and I think Callum Newman is 23 years old. It's actually insane how young he is because of how talented he is. And I think that if you want to look 5-10 years down the future, could even be quicker, Callum could easily be heading up the country, leading the company as the top guy Kokujin. Okay, because he's extremely likable and charismatic. Similarly with Clark and Driller, when Callum's on commentary, although he doesn't turn full fangirl, he is very charismatic and just seemed like a genuinely down-to-earth guy. So Callum, again, I'm not really worried, but I want to point out that he is someone that, especially as he gets older, is gonna have people fighting over him. And this last one to draw out, and actually I've looked through the entire roster, and these are the ones. The one that I'm most worried about is El Phantasmo. I love El Phantasmo. I've been following El Phantasmo for years, since I first got into wrestling. I remember watching him on independent shows. I was meant to interview him for a Rev Pro show, but he hurt his finger, but then I ended up interviewing him a few years ago with Hikaleo. He is the heart and soul of wrestling. Started as a junior in Bullet Club and now has become Hontai. Why am I worried then? It's been a string of things. So he's obviously New Japan World Champion. And there was a time, especially, I believe it was around the G1, or maybe before that, where he almost seemed very indifferent to this belt. He was well, it's just, what is it worth? He hasn't, he's obviously on World Tag League, but compared to the other Gaikokujins, he hasn't really been as present in the tours. So he wasn't there during Super Junior Tag League. Not saying that because it's a heavyweight, but in between the G1 and out, he's been used very sparsely. And again, ELP is someone who is phenomenal, but I feel like they've kind of plateaued him. He's had the Junior Tag Championship, he's had the New Japan World, but I want him to go higher. And I know, probably knowing ELP and how long he's been in the industry, he wants more as well. But does New Japan see him as the top guy who can hold the top belts? Or is he just someone who is there for the crowd, someone who can put on amazing matches time and time again? and can be trusted to make fans smile and be that people pleaser, is he the guy that they're going to put at the top? But is that what ELP wants? This is the thing that I'm speaking about all guys. You assume that they all want to be at the top of the company, but we can't know that for real, especially the older guys. And then you've got to combine whether they're still willing to travel. You've got to think about their personal life. Do they have families, which making Japanese travel hard? And then you've got to look at New Japan's side of how much is New Japan willing to invest. In terms of all of these guys, if I was New Japan, I would be, if the issue with them resigning is money, I would be throwing everything at them. Because we are in such a very weird time in New Japan. We have lost a shit ton of talent. We are losing Hiroshi Tanahashi in January. I feel like there's going to be a lot more people slowing down. Like Tiger Mask is retiring. I can see some of the New Japan dads slowing down and like moving out. So we need a mix of the young talent, both Japanese and Gaikokujin. Obviously, a lot of this depends on funds and stuff, but I feel like they should at least try and want to invest in these guys because they are doing such amazing things in New Japan, flying the flag for the company, showcasing their love for New Japan, even as hell, like the heels of War Dogs. Obviously, they're like tweeners now, but Finlay has been teaming with Hiromu. There are so many sides to these guys. I know it's a very random video. It's just because all of these news has come out. I thought, why don't we talk about it? Why don't we have a little chitty chat? Contracts are a very odd thing. I'm not into the inner works of companies and like, especially wrestling companies. Like I said, I'm a wrestling fan who does content, not a journalist. But seeing like the tweets and stuff about the contracts, and obviously everyone's like, well, we all know that everyone's like, it's a year and something's going to happen, there's going to be rumblings and like, it happens all the time. I was quite interested to look at like the ones I'm worried about, the ones who I think New Japan really should be investing in. So yeah, that was just a quick video, which probably went longer than a quick video should be. Let me know your thoughts and let me know in the comments on social media at wrestling_chat. Which Gaikokujin talents, which foreign talents should New Japan be fighting for? Or which ones, like me, are you slightly worried may be coming to the end of their New Japan reign? Let me know as always. We are on the road to Tokyo Dome now, which is very exciting. So if you don't want to miss out on any of my content, remember to hit like, share and subscribe. You can also hit the bell to stay notified for when I've got my next video. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you soon. Bye!